Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the miserable liberal and Ron Placone.
Hola.
Hello.
Hola. That is Spanish for hello.
Yes, very good. Muy bueno, Jimmy.
Oh, how do you say goodbye?
Adios.
Adios.
That is really good.
Adios.
How do you say hello in Italian?
Ciao.
Oh, that's right. And you know how do you say goodbye? Tommy Lasorda. How do you say goodbye?
Ciao.
Ciao is both hello.
Yeah,
it's like aloha.
Yep.
What's a arrivederci?
Well, that's like a more formal, you know?
Oh.
Like, yeah.
So
But you
instead
can
of
say
that's
ciao
like
for
ciao
both.
is like saying bye, but arrivederci is like saying I will see you later. Right? Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So the reason we're talking about Italy is for no reason. Right now we're going to talk about Tucker Carlson. We featured Tucker Carlson on the show before. It's amazing. Ron said this to me before. He said it's amazing what they'll let Tucker Carlson tell the truth about.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to tell the truth. They allowed at Fox News. They allowed Tucker Carlson to tell the truth about the bombings or the supposed chemical attacks in Syria, which have all been debunked now. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So they let him tell the truth about all that, and we featured it on this show because it's crazy that it's just crazy. And now, here he is. We did a piece about this latest. Everybody going crazy over Russia's are going to somehow invade us or whatever, or run our elections or something. And so he did a piece on it. And again, I just can't believe they let him do this. So, and I mean it in a good way. I mean, Tucker. You know, every once in a while, Tucker Carlson hits a home run, and it's because no one else is telling the truth about stuff like this. No one else in mainstream news told the truth about the chemical attacks in Syria. Nobody. Mm-hmm. We tell the truth here. The Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Weapons, they told the truth. Mm-hmm. There's a few people on BBC told the truth. They got shut off right away. But here he is. He's going to tell the truth about what's happening with the Trump-Putin summit, but not that, but the reaction to it. And let's just listen to some.
Tonight, with remarkable speed and intensity, the media, the foreign policy establishment, both political parties have come together as one to attack the president for his meeting yesterday with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. Anderson Cooper, John McCain, Mitt Romney, they all described the president's remarks about Russia as disgraceful. Former CI Director John Brennan called those remarks treasonous and grounds for impeachment. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer announced that Trump was being blackmailed by a foreign power. Others accused him of being a sleeper agent, a spy. One member of Congress from Tennessee called for a military coup against the presidency. Well, as the rage storm swirled, the president bowed to the inevitable, genuflecting before U.S. intelligence agencies whose judgment must never be questioned, and recited the now obligatory oath of loyalty to the spy bureaucrats now in charge of our country. Watch.
In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So, just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't, and the sentence should have been, and I thought I would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript or unclear on the actual video. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia. Sort of a double negative. So you can put that in, and I think that probably clarifies things pretty good by itself.
So that's the hostage tape. The president buckled to criticism. I don't know what they're saying. That's exactly what happened. He buckled. And that happens. This is politics, after all.
So remember that piece I showed you about Chuck Schumer when Chuck Schumer was warning Donald Trump, don't mess with the intelligence community. They have 6 ways a Sunday to mess with you back. And in the video I did yesterday, I said, to me, it sounded like this indictment thing, the timing of it, was to mess with Trump's meeting with Putin. And there he's saying now Trump is bowing to that. And I felt the same way. It's like, anyway, but okay, we'll just keep going. You don't need my clarification.
What is amazing and unusual and ominous is who made him buckle. The people yelling the loudest about how the Russians are our greatest enemy and Trump is their puppet happen to be the very same people who have been mismanaging our foreign policy for the past 2 decades. The people who invaded Iraq and wouldn't admit it was a mistake. The people who killed Muammar Gaddafi for no obvious reason and prolonged the horrible Syrian civil war and then threw open the borders of Europe. The ones still defending the pointless Afghan conflict and even now planning brand new disasters around the world in Lebanon, Iran, and yes, in Russia. These are the people who've made America weaker and poorer and sadder. The group whose failures got Trump elected in the first place. You would think by this late date they would be discredited completely and unemployable, wearing uniforms and picking up trash by the side of a turnpike somewhere. But no, they're not. They're hosting cable news shows. They're holding high positions of influence at the State Department. They run virtually every nonprofit public policy institution in Washington. They are still, in some sense, in charge of our national conversation.
They are. So what he's saying is, do you see who's in charge of this? Do you see who, again, all the people we said, all the people who led us into Iraq, who led us into Libya, who's keeping up in Afghanistan, Syria, they're the people doing this. These are the people who weakened America. Yes, 100%. He's on it. Yes, these are the people, and because there was never a price to pay. So again, we have both parties bought by the same donors, the same military-industrial complex donors, and there's never a price to pay for an illegal war. Even if you order torture and war crimes to cover it up, which is what they did, Barack Obama, who is also a tool of these same people, will not prosecute you, but he will prosecute a journalist or a whistleblower who tells the truth about the war crimes that they're committing. Isn't that something? So now all those people, Bill Kristol and Brennan, all the people at the CIA, the people at the FBI, Mueller lied us into the war too. Did you know that? All these people are now the people we're all supposed to we can't ever disagree with, is what he's saying, because if you do, then you're a traitor. No, we should not believe the CIA and our intelligence community out of hand. We shouldn't ever believe them. We should always demand evidence. Always. Why? Because when we don't, we go to war in Iraq, kill a couple million people. Million? I don't know. How many people we kill? A million? That's what happened. Same thing in Libya. Same thing in Syria. It's all lies. All wars are bullshit.
And naturally, they hate the idea of rethinking or correcting any of the countless blunders they have made over the years.
So nobody ever. This is again another point we've made on the show a million times. The establishment does not want to scrutinize the system that gave us Trump. They want to pretend it was Russia and outside influences and misogyny and racism and sexism and everything except them. Everything except this neoliberal nightmare with endless wars and endless poverty back here at home. We can't even get clean water in our own goddamn country. We can't even give health care to 30 million people. 30 million! 1 in 5 kids is in poverty, not poor, poverty. That's the problem happening. Or they don't want you to examine, they don't want us or anybody to examine that system. And that's why this is happening. That's why it's Russia 24/7.
And that's one of the main reasons they hate Trump, because he calls them on those blunders. Now, being Trump, he can't always explain precisely what he means to say. Sometimes he gets the details wrong, or he gets sidetracked with some personal vendetta.
And just to make one more point, all the people who got the Iraq war right are persona non grata in America right now. Where's Phil Donahue? He got fired from MSNBC because he got the Iraq war right. You'd think they'd want him on every day to talk about this stuff. They never want him on to talk about anything. Jesse Ventura got the Iraq war right. Governor Jesse Ventura. Mayor Jesse Ventura. Navy SEAL Jesse Ventura got the Iraq war right. They got rid of him at MSNBC because they don't want to tell the truth about war. Now, all those people who got it 100,000% wrong are the same people that are doing all this. That's the point he's making. And the point is, those people are lying war criminals, and we should be skeptical of them at every turn. In fact, they should be relegated to the dustbin of history. Instead, they're still running our culture. And that's why we're in a culture right now where 30 million Americans don't have health care. Everyone else is poor and treading water, and we're not talking about it ever. What are we talking about? Go to the front page of the newspaper today. Russia, Russia, Russia. Go to Huffington Post, Russia, Russia. Go to MSNBC, Russia, Russia, Russia. CNN, Russia, Russia. Something that has nothing to do with anyone's life.
Anybody cares about that ridiculous Jim Acosta guy? Nobody does. But on the big questions, Trump is indisputably right. The Cold War is over. The world has changed. It is time to rethink America's alliances and to act in our own interest for once. Russia is not a close friend of the United States. But the question is, why should we consider Russia a mortal enemy? Of course, Russia spies on us. So do a lot of countries, some of them far more effectively than Russia. The Russian attempt to meddle in our election was comically amateurish. Badly targeted Facebook ads almost nobody saw. Compare that effort to the deep penetration of American industry and the defense sector by the Communist government of China. Or compare it to the...
China actually is communist. That's why we used to be afraid of Russia, because they were going to infiltrate us with their ideology. Not that they were going to come take us over militarily, but they were going to come take us over with their communist ideology, which is what McCarthyism was all about. But now they're not communists anymore. You know who is? China. China actually does do stuff. We reported this off an article in The Intercept. Maybe that was at Aggressive Progressives. Anyway, here we go. And by the way, the new head of the FBI just said China is our biggest threat right now. Counterintelligence threat. The FBI, the head of the FBI just said in Aspen to Lester Holt, just told him that China is our biggest threat. So they're already moving off Russia. So I thought it was... So whatever we need to keep spending money on the military-industrial complex. Everybody's a threat. That's all they are. Okay, back to this.
Remarkable sway that the Sunni Gulf states have over our political process, or the fact that Latin American countries are changing election outcomes here by forcing demographic change on this country at a rate that American voters consistently say they don't want.
Okay, so that part is just complete lunacy. So that last part, Latin American countries are forcing a demographic change on our... No, you know the power of Latin American countries to change our demographics in the United States. So that's that theory that Tucker gives you that somehow they're trying to take over America through immigration. We're a country of immigrants.
Again, there's certain things he's allowed to get right, and then certain things like, hey, Fox News signs your paychecks, buddy.
And so get back in line. Just so you know, we have net zero immigration with Mexico. So just as many people who come in from Mexico, just as many people leave. Net zero immigration. So this idea they're taking over America. This is just, by the way, America's Browning. So that's what that is. That's the fear of Browning of America. So that's all. So he has to throw in a little xenophobia, but he's allowed to tell the truth about everything else.
Mm-hmm. You got a few good minutes in there.
Those are all major challenges from foreign powers to our American democracy.
But he's right about China. He's right about the Sunni states. I don't think he mentioned Israel. Did he?
He's
skipping Israel.
No.
So Netanyahu brags that he controls Trump. So there you go. So Israel, the Sunni states, Saudi Arabia, and so he's right about that. And China.
They're real. And yet somehow nobody on cable news seems upset about any of it. Why is that? Well, here's one reason. Many in Washington are getting rich from the Chinese and the Saudis. Latin Americans clean their homes and watch their kids. Those countries can't be our enemies, in their view. But nobody here is getting rich from Russia, so therefore Putin must be a mortal foe. That's what the neocons are telling us we are required to believe. Does anyone actually believe it? Well, no sober person who's read a newspaper this year could recite that talking point without laughing, because it's stupid. So the only option, if you want to force the population to accept something ridiculous, is to make sure they don't think too much about it, that they're quiet, they do what they're told. And if you don't believe it, watch what's happening to Trump right now. Obviously, it's possible, entirely possible, maybe likely that the Russian government broke into the DNC servers before the last election. It certainly sounds like something they might do. But before we act like we know for a fact that that's what happened and go to war with Russia over that, shouldn't we see some actual evidence that it happened? Why not? Like maybe a server or at least a clear explanation of what happened. We haven't seen that. And that's what Trump asked for. How dare he? That's a treasonous thought, we were told. He's a quisling, a traitor to his country. That's what they're saying. And not just a few of them. All of them are saying that in unison. Think for a second about what they are demanding. If you don't automatically accept the...
Now, this is the best part of his thing. So you could disagree with everything he said so far. I disagree with some of it.
Yes.
But you could disagree with everything he said so far. But you cannot disagree with this fact that he's going to lay on you right now about the current environment in the United States.
Think for a second about what they are demanding. If you don't automatically accept the imprecise, nonspecific, never fully explained findings of shadowy intelligence agencies with long, documented track records of making serious mistakes, you've somehow betrayed your country. The very people who assured you that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, the ones who said the Shah would never fall in Iran, etc., those people must be believed without question or else.
Without question or else. That's what there's. You don't believe our 25,000 intelligence communities think 17. Turns out it was just 4. Really, actually 3. And all the people were handpicked. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And if you disagree with any of those people, you're a traitor. If you disagree with the people who let us into Iraq illegally, you're a traitor. If you disagree with the people who ordered torture and covered it up, you're a traitor. He's really laying it down right now.
On television, this group is called the Intelligence Community. That's an Orwellian name if there ever was one.
Yep.
Where exactly is this community we hear so much about? Does it have a zip code? A public library system? A youth football league?
Do they have a Wendy's? What? Huh? Where's their Starbucks?
Long before Congress starts demanding unthinking obedience to the lawmaker community.
Now, that's a great point. So now we all have to have unbending obedience to the intelligence community. You can never disagree with them or else you're a traitor. And he's saying, how long before the people in Congress decide you can't disagree with them either? They're a community.
It's a community, after all. You must obey it. Dissent is unpatriotic. And if you don't agree, you're working for Vladimir Putin. That's where we're heading, by the way, and fast. In some ways, this whole story is about Donald Trump and what he's said and what he does. But on a deeper level, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This is about democracy, whether or not voters rule their country.
So all the people are going to say, I'm apologizing. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. If you look at it that way, this has everything to do with democracy. And it does. This is also a 101 in how propaganda works on a massive scale. This is how we got into the Iraq War. Both sides going along, complete bull. And this is happening again. So this doesn't have. So by the way, you can't deny that fact that right now in our country you have to accept the intelligence community's assessment unquestionably, or you're called a traitor. So even if you don't believe anything else he said, that's true, and that is chilling. Dissent is patriotic, but what's happening right now is dissent is treasonous. That's what they're saying. All right, there's a little bit more.
It turns out the very people telling you they are saving our democracy are working overtime to destroy it and scolding you as they do.
Yeah.
I'll throw it over to my panel. Go ahead.
When it comes to issues, I don't agree with Tucker Carlson on a whole lot, but yeah, he most of, not all of it, but a lot of that, yeah. He nailed it.
Yeah, I would disagree with Tucker Carlson on most policy issues, most things.
Me too.
I even could question his sincerity in his beliefs before. Mm-hmm. But for whatever, because in previous, I think Tucker Carlson's one of those guys who, just sees things through partisan glasses. But for whatever reason, he's being allowed to tell the truth here. Mm-hmm. So, tip of the hat. When someone does good work, tip of the hat. And he laid it down precisely. And the points he made about that you're not allowed to disagree anymore, that is super chilling. Anything else?
Well, and the thing he said about just, these people saying our democracy got hijacked. And, I said something similar. I'm like, look, The people that are saying our quote-unquote our democracy got hijacked are the same people that are fine with superdelegates
Yeah.
and fine with the Electoral College and fine with voter suppression and fine with gerrymandering, and maybe we shouldn't care what they think about democracy.
Steph?
You know, anytime, first, whose mind isn't blown that we ever agree with Tucker Carlson?
I know. It's blown.
I mean,
This is
easily.
certainly- yeah, go ahead.
That, you know, and so then the other thing is, when I hear people saying that this is treasonous, what Trump has done, I don't understand what they're talking about.
Me neither.
I don't understand how it's gotten to the level of treason when I'm still waiting for war criminals to be tried.
Right. When someone lies us into a war, isn't that treason? When you lie about a war, how could that not be treason? When you get people to attack another country, kill people, murder them, because that's what that is. That's murder. How is that not treason?
Especially when I just saw a promo for a George W. Bush documentary on CNN, and they were hailing him as if
good
he's
man.
yes,
He was misled.
yes.
I should have got that promo. We can find that promo.
Yes.
The CNN is now running a promo that says George Bush was a good man who got misled.
Mm-hmm.
He was misled. No, he was the misleader.
I pointed out that George W. Bush is a war criminal on Twitter once, and someone was like, Ron, my problem with you is you really hold a grudge.
No.
Yes.
That's like a joke.
No.
Yeah, right.
Come
There
on.
had
No,
to be
the
a
person
joke.
was for real.
You hold a grudge over war crimes. Yes, a grudge. Wow. Woof. Hey, why don't you let Manson out of prison? What are you holding a grudge? That was a long time ago. Oh, but he's dead. Didn't he die? He's not even alive anymore, Manson. Nope, Manson dead. How about let's see someone else who's in prison. Why don't you let out somebody who's in prison? All right, Tucker Carlson. And it's just okay, by the way, now for journalists to call sitting senators traitors over this issue.
Yes.
David Corn called Rand Paul a traitor on Twitter. Just traitor. Wow. That's a lefty. Please make sure you're subscribed, even if you think you are. You probably aren't. It only takes a second. Check to make sure you're subscribed, and then click that bell. If you click the bell, they'll send you a notification when we drop videos. Otherwise, they won't notify you. And they still might not, but that's all we can do to fight against the bastards. And please become a patron. You support the show. We give you hours of bonus content every week. Plus, we do a live stream most Saturdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks for your support.